Hello everyone, my name is Nathan and today it's time for another episode of Starmade. Of course, also this time we are going to continue on our little Monopoly project. I actually think I'm going to wrap this up in just one go over the course of these episodes without tending to another project, so that we can play it ASAP with the guys on the server. I cannot wait for that. This is actually also going to be a streaming event. Anyway, in today's episode I would like to accomplish two things. First and foremost, you guys told me that it could be a little bit hard for the player to judge when to enable and disable these modules here. So if you remember, as long as one player is active and we hit this button, then the player will move. However, you will have to click this button in the right moment again in order to stop the movement on the right tile. So one of the suggestions you guys had is to make a reverse button, and I actually rather not do that. I really would prefer not to have to do that. So I thought another way we can do it is simply make this only go for one single block. So what we could actually do is exchange all of these guys with buttons, for instance. So I would enable the button, this would shortly disable those guys, and then we can pass again. I guess that would work, right? Let's actually test it out just to be sure. I think that would be the easiest solution. So we're gonna have, for instance, a button right here, or let's actually do it right at the end here. Yeah, we're gonna have a button, we're gonna click that guy, and now we are currently on this field right here. Let's see if we go to the other field, if we hit this button. Yeah, look at that. It moves exactly one field. So this is kind of perfect already. Great, I would say this is going to be our solution for that. I'm just going to have to replace this guy with buttons, which is gonna suck a little bit because I hooked them all up. Look at that. Everything is hooked up to everything. It's kind of crazy. I'm a crazy bastard. Okay, another thing that I want to accomplish today is the indication which player is on which field. And you can see I've already done it actually for the blue, red and green colors. The only color I haven't done yet is the yellow one, so we can do it together and you know the system. It's not very hard. To be honest with you, I simply placed an activation module below them, and the activation module is hooked up to the individual colors. So for instance, if we move over to the blue, you can see the blue lamp right here is on, indicating this player is on this field, and therefore this activation module of course is responsible for it. So let's actually do that with the yellow color. We're gonna start right here, below here. So this would be the starting field position. We want to place the module and hook it up to the yellow color and then disable it. And we are of course gonna do this for all of the fields. So hook up, there we go, disable the lamp, hook up, disable the lamp, etc, etc. So yeah, there's actually not a lot to it. I did do it a little bit more complicated in a previous segment before I wanted to start this recording, but this was with the old system in mind, where the player had to stop manually. So I would have a module maybe right here as well, also hooked up to the same lamp, for instance right there. And as soon as the player moves across this barrier here, he would for a short time activate the yellow lamp, therefore indicating for the player that he can shut off the movement mechanism, and once it arrived at the final stage, it would light up the lamp permanently. But we can save ourselves this step by automating basically everything, right? Also, one thing you should note is that you can only hook up one activation module per lamp. So this is very important. If I hook up this activation module to this lamp and then I'm gonna do the same thing with another one, you can see this activation module doesn't function anymore. So that is of course good to know. Okay, there we go. I think I hooked up everything, so theoretically if we switch to the yellow player, we should also be able to move them. So let's check this out. Yeah, looking good. Just checking if all the rails have switched. Yeah, they seem to have switched, so let's disable this bad boy, and yellow is also at the starting location. Beautiful. Okay, so far so good. Now I will have to exchange all of these guys with buttons, and I don't think I can simply switch them out. The connections are probably gonna be lost, right? If I use the replace tool, oh man. I also don't have enough buttons, right? I have 16 buttons. But considering that the player doesn't have to do it manually anymore, we might not even need this many buttons. We could simply have buttons right here, for instance. Or we still have it in the center, but we're only gonna do 4 buttons. Yes, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna remove all of these guys. And then we are gonna use buttons, 4 buttons, 1, 2, oh, I actually have to do it, no, this is the correct level, but we don't want to hook them up to anything just yet. So buttons all the way around, hook up all the buttons to each other, there we go, and then also hook up the buttons to these modules, I guess. Yeah, we're gonna hook them up to all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last one, there we go. Okay, now theoretically this should already work. We hit this guy and the yellow player moves 1 space. Great, now with the number 9, we would have to do this 9 times, of course, but it is a lot more secure and nothing can really go wrong. Except, of course, we have stupid players, which could always be the case. Nah, not on our server, don't worry guys. Okay, so we kind of fixed all of the issues. Now we could think about how do we purchase stuff, how do we calculate stuff. I mean, there should be like a display displaying each player's amount of money, for instance. And then we would have to have buttons in order to add numbers. I guess we have a button in, you know, it's gonna be very, very manual how you count the money actually. You will have to add and subtract your money with a display, but it's still gonna be very cool, right? Hopefully. So yeah, I thought what we did in this first part of the episode will take a little bit longer, so now we have actually the time to already map out the next area. So I would suggest that we're gonna have at least 1 display for each player's money. So the players will be in their build blocks and we will observe the game probably from this perspective. And I thought maybe, just maybe, we are gonna do the hotels and houses manually. I don't see a reason why this should disturb anyone. Or maybe you have a better idea? But I think, you know, for instance, the blue player is right here and therefore he would have to pay so and so much money in order to gain this card. So that means he could then, for instance, go to his display, which is in the floor, and then he would press the buttons in order to subtract so and so much money, and then he could simply go ahead and enable this lamp, indicating that he has bought a house, or that he has bought this card, for instance, because this would be a rail field, right? What do you think about this idea? This would also maybe allow us to do this a little bit more elegantly with the... It really bothers me a little bit that they are so high up. Maybe I'm actually going to finish this wall to make it a little bit nicer. Should we do it with black or so? Yeah, black hull could be the thing to go for, and we even extended above the lamps, something like this, and just encase this, and then it would be at least kind of a finished wall. I'm not so sure about that. I mean, the players can always, you know, swoop around and have a look at it from all perspectives, since they are in the build block, right? Yeah, maybe let's actually go ahead and complete this wall. I'm just going to take myself the liberty of doing that, and hopefully it's not going to be a horrible mistake. Maybe we should actually use a different material. Maybe we can wrap it up with some sand instead. So the top layer could be oh no. Bad idea. Bad idea, Nathan. Blue rock is also not what I want, really. Warp gate modules, maybe? That could be a thing. Let's check out what other kinds of blocks I have. Yeah, we don't really have any blocks that I would want to use, but maybe we could go with sloped blocks. Oh yes, that could be interesting. Let's check out what the gray standard armor does for us. This actually rounds it off nicely and gives it some more, you know, texture, I think. Yeah, that's definitely what we're gonna do. Give me some time in order to finish this, and don't laugh at me because I'm doing it block by block, but sometimes I'm just in the mood for that. Oh, something just came to my mind that we could also do in today's episode, since we are doing this manually maybe. Yeah, let me actually remove all of these modules, even though I took myself the time to hook these all up manually. I think I'm gonna end up removing them again because, you know, once you enable all of these and let's say, you know, a player has bought 4 houses here and etc, all of these lamps are enabled, then we need a central reset button. We need some kind of a button that resets all of the lamps. And the button should probably be kind of hidden. Yeah, we could, for instance, have the button right here. Here I also have my main module in order to move the contraption or move the players. And therefore we can also have a button. Yes, I'm gonna have a button right here, not hooked up to anything, but we are gonna select the button and hook it up to all the lamps. Oh no, I can only select 3 lamps at a time. That is horrible. I want to select them all. Yeah, I guess we're just gonna have to live with that. Let me actually quickly select all of the freaking lamps. Okay, there we go. I selected all of the lamp. Now let's imagine, you know, a bunch of these guys are active, etc, etc. We want to reset the board. All we have to do is press this button and all of the lamps should be shut down again. Great, now I can finally finish this black hole thing, right? And oh yes, I totally forgot, I have to place the sloped blocks on top of it as well. That means we are probably also gonna need a corner piece. All the things you have to put on your shopping list just for a freaking Monopoly game. Alright, there we go, look at that. It looks much cozier if you ask me. Let's actually go ahead and remove all of these modules. We are not going to need them anymore. So I guess we're gonna need a 5x5 thingy-majingy and then we are gonna go on a removing spree right there. Oh, that is 5, what? Oh, it's 5x4, of course, what was I thinking? But we can snug up all of these activation modules, free up some more space, and we do not need to worry about those modules anymore. I hope you're actually okay with that new solution. I don't really see why you would take away everything from the player. I mean, some interaction still has to happen. And as long as you don't have to place blocks and you can do it directly from the build block, I don't see a problem with it. Okay, there we go. All of the modules have been removed. And the next step we're gonna need to think about is how to make the individual displays. And of course, we're gonna make them with the respective colors. And we are probably gonna have a different type of currency. Because I think the highest I want to go is like 9,999. So we should have space for 4 numbers, though can we even fit 4 numbers in here? This might be really tricky, to be honest with you. Let me think about that. We would have 1 number right here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces we use up each number. Oh man, that could be a real issue. Let's see, who is the first player? It's the player blue. So blue would be on the top left here, I guess. So let's say we start with the display right here. Let's actually exit the remove mode. We would do something like this and that. So this would be the size of our number, I guess. And can we fit that 4 times in here? It looks as though we can actually. We just, you know, we need to have 1 space in between the modules. Yeah, we cannot do it like so, but we have to do something like this. Okay, then again, another space in between. We have this, and then we would have to fit yet another number in here. Let's see, how would that look? Yeah, it would actually fit 4 numbers nicely. We can even go 1 more space towards the left. I think that's exactly what we're gonna do. So I want to leave at least 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So here is where I want to start with my number. Okay, that's gonna be great. Oh guys, I cannot wait to actually make this functional. This is gonna be exciting. Anyways, let's set up the numbers. Okay, there we go. This is how the display would be. And then of course we would have a bunch of buttons. So for instance, we have 2 buttons for each of these numbers. One is gonna make it higher and the other one is gonna make it lower. So that means beneath it we're going to have a rail that is gonna enable and disable certain modules in order to display a certain number. And oh man. So yeah, that means we have to do it in a way so that the player manually inputs all of the numbers. So for instance, let's say you have 1,900 monies, and then you get 100 more, then you would have to make these three numbers 0 and this number 2, right? And therefore you have to subtract and add the numbers. So it's still not fully automatic. It will not be able to add 100 to this number. For this I would have to build a calculator and an adder, and that is just too much for this. But still, we will be able to count up just using this button, then it would be 3, 4, or we can go back to 3, etc, etc. What do you think about this idea? I actually like it a lot. Let's go ahead and finish all of the numbers, and then we're gonna wrap up the episode. And there we go, guys. Look at that. We have the numbers, or the amount of money each player has now available to us. We only have to logically hook it up in some way or the other, but each player has a plus and minus button, and also it just reads from the left to the right, so it's plus and then minus. And I mean, oh, I just see that I should have used buttons instead of activation modules right here, of course. But, you know, that's just a minor mistake, and I will have to make some more buttons. Anyways, guys, with that out of the way, I would say we're gonna wrap it up right at this point. I sure hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, don't forget to leave down a like, have a good time, and also see you in the next one. Bye bye.